On this episode, we're going to be talking about waters. All the different types of waters that you can actually use for your rabbit project. So stay tuned. On this channel, our focus is helping you have the best rabbit project possible. So let's go ahead and we'll get started. The first is a bottle. And you can get bottles like this from us. And they'll have a screw off nipple, and so it's just a bottle with a nipple, and this is just a ball bearing type nipple. The rabbits just lick on this tip here, it moves that ball and water comes out. You can see here that these are the metal brackets that just hang on to the cage. No big deal. One of the advantages of water bottles is that they're cheap. You can see how much water is in the bottle. You can even get them with the flip top, so you can just come along and put water in them. Kind of like the end of the hose of the old type of radiator filler. And so it has a crook neck like this, and you just press the valve and it puts that water in there. Now, as far as the water bottles are concerned, the disadvantage to them is that when they're empty, and so that's not good. Let me give you some input in regard to water, especially when it comes to your rabbit project. So if your kits, a kit, or all of your kits, if they're all in the same cage, go 1 day without water, that equates to 2 to 3 days of not having any feed. If you ever go to your rabbits and they have not eaten, the number one cause is going to be that there's something wrong with the water, whether it's stopped up or there is no water, and so on. So another disadvantage about the bottle is that it runs out of water and you have to fill it back up. It doesn't matter how often you have to do that. If you have to do that 3-4 times a day or in the middle of the night, it is crucial that your rabbit project, all of those kits, have water 24/7. It is imperative. So if you miss a day in which they don't have water and they run out of water, and that equates to 2 or 3 days in regards to kind of setting them back, you're looking at a loss of 3, 6, maybe 9 ounces that you would have to make up some way, somehow. Well, if you've bought your kits at the right time and at the right weight and so on, you might not ever make up that time. So anyways, what I'm really trying to just instill in you is that water must be available 24/7, 365, period. Okay, so another option is a crock. Now, if you'll go look at, if you don't know what a crock is, it's just a ceramic bowl. And so you can get those in different sizes and so on. Same issue with the crock is that you got to make sure that thing is always got water. Now, I don't like crocks simply because they can get into that crock and they can soil the water and so on. So they can pee in it, feces in it, and so on and so forth. Just being dirty, just getting in it in general. And so maybe that's not really an issue for some people. I know people that use Crocks. It's just not going to be my top choice. In fact, it's going to be my last choice. Even the water bottle, you can get those just with the tip that screws into like a 2-liter bottle. And that's what I used when I was a teenager, when I was growing up, because there was no automatic watering system, which let's talk about next. If I have 3 rabbits, I'm going to have an automatic watering system. There are times that I've brought bucks into the house, into the AC, back before my barn was AC'd, so that I could keep them cool and not have any issues with them going sterile. And so there was only 3 bucks in a stack cage, and there was a tank sitting on top with automatic water, And every other day I would get a 5-gallon bucket, fill that in the bathtub, and dump that into that reservoir, that tank that was sitting on top of my 3-hole stack. So we'll talk about the system that we use specifically here at Cornerstone Cages. But you can use, I have seen people use these chicken nipples. Now these typically screw into the bottom of a bucket, and that's how you can water your chickens. But you can also put it on like a 3/4 inch PVC pipe, and that's exactly what I've seen people do in regard to their rabbits. And so they run that through the cage, maybe at the back of the cage, but not at the very top, but where it's not too high for the rabbits to reach. And they just hit on this pin here, and the water comes out. It is an option. I don't advise it, but you can certainly go that route. What we do sell here at Cornerstone Cages is the automatic watering system that is 3/16 inch tubing. Now you can also get 5/16 inch tubing. It is the larger tubing. In fact, if you can see this tubing, I'll put it in the middle of my head because I have a black backdrop. But the tubing, the inside of the 5/16 is actually the ID, the inside diameter of this 3/16 OD, outside diameter. And so, anyways, if that makes any sense to you, this is how big the tubing is on the inside, on the outside of this tubing. So, anyways, this is what we keep in stock, is the 3/16 inch. Whenever you buy a Rabbit Nipple, which is this here, you also get a clip that fits in there. The nipple fits into the clip. And you also get a T. And that being black with a black backdrop, it's kind of hard to see. But this is the T. If I have it on my hand and it's hard to see it, I can see it easily, but there you go. That ought to show you. It's just a T, okay? And of course that T fits into the tubing here. That tubing runs along, and then you'll have what we call a drop down. That drop down then goes to your nipple. The nipple then, the rabbit nipple, fits on the end of that tubing like so. It goes all the way on, and then this clip goes into the cage, and it allows access to just barely the tip of your nipple sticks into the cage. As you can see the difference here between where these notches are. And so it doesn't stick in very far, but it doesn't need to. One of the reasons why you wouldn't want it to stick in real far is because they can grab a hold of it and so on. Now with these clips, they fit very, very tight. I advise you putting them on with a pair of pliers, and then they can't pull the nipple into the cage. Now, there's a couple of things I'd like to point out in regard to the nipples that we sell. I have these made. They're made out of solid brass. You can get the plated nipples, but in my opinion, they're trash. You can also get the brass nipples, but they have a diaphragm. The majority of them out there. In fact, I am the only one that I know that carries these specifically. But the ones that have a diaphragm, the diaphragm goes bad 9 months, definitely within a year. And so you have to pull that out, you have to clean them all up. You might be able to put them back together and they work again. Oftentimes you have to replace that diaphragm. Well, these do not have a diaphragm. They have an O-ring right here that you can see, this black O-ring. And they also have an inner O-ring that's on the stainless steel stem. This right here. I'll move it down the stem so you can see it. Okay, we'll focus on that. And so that stem, the stainless steel stem, goes inside here. there's a little spring, and then this all screws together as one unit. Same thing with the ball bearing, although with this stainless steel stem, if it'll focus on that, it's just not gonna do it for me. I think it's wanting to focus on me. I'm trying to get out of the shot so it'll actually focus on the nipple there. They just hit on that nipple and water's going to come out. One of the great things about the tank that we sell, all you have to do is just hook it up to a garden hose and you're good to go. It's 4.5 gallons. It holds about 4 gallons due to the float, where the float is in the tank itself. And you know, with the rabbit project, if you were to have 5 or 6 rabbits, they would probably go through that maybe in 3 days, maybe, but it doesn't matter because it's hooked up, either hard piped or it's hooked up to a garden hose, and so that water is constantly there. These nipples are very, very reliable. We give you a limited lifetime warranty. If you damage the nipple somehow and it stops working, well, I mean, I can't cover that. But if the nipple just stops working, due to the design of the nipple, whatever the case may be, I haven't had one go bad yet, then you send it back. It is at your cost to send it back to me, but I will send you absolutely free a new rabbit nipple. I won't clean that one up and change out the O-rings. I'm going to send you a brand new rabbit nipple, and it'll be going back to you at my cost as far as the shipping is concerned. I have a lot of confidence in these nipples. These are the nipples that we use, and I won't use anything different. And so the crock, they can get in and soil it. The water bottle, it's going to run out of water. You're going to have to keep it filled up. Your other option is an automatic watering system, and that's what I would advise. Here's another advantage of the automatic watering system, and that is if something were to happen and you have to go out of town, it's one thing to ask a friend to help you by taking care of the rabbits and feeding them. It's another thing, again, how crucial it is. They could go without feed one day. It's not going to be as detrimental as they going without 1 day without water. That's how important water is. So you don't want anything to happen as far as the water is concerned. So with an automatic watering system, that really gives you a lot of insurance that if you were to have to leave and rely upon someone else to take care of your rabbits, that they're going to be taken care of, at least for the water. So that's my advice. Take it for what it's worth. It is not the end all. You still need to make sure that this water nipple is working every day. You just hit it, make sure the water's coming out. So it is not a system necessarily that you could just walk away from and then you're done. Everything requires maintenance, but you don't necessarily have to do anything. I haven't had to do anything to maintain these nipples since I have been using them for well over a year. And been using water systems, automatic watering systems, for years and years. So if you have any questions or comments, please put them down at the bottom. Tell us why you use what you use. Share that. I don't know everything, and maybe you can share with the rest of the community what you do, and you can educate us all. And I do ask you to please like, subscribe, and share. Also hit that little bell and you'll get the notice that we have another video up. And so sure appreciate you watching the video.